Thank you, Chris. It's the same focus that we had since last January, January of 11, because when we opened session, our speaker gave us each one of these bracelets, and it says jobs and economy, and I've worn it every day since then, and that's what we focused on. We did regulatory reform. We also did workers' compensation reform. We are currently working with the Employment Security Commission to adjust those rates to help businesses to come in, feel comfortable to come into North Carolina.
Thank you, Chris. I'm sure it would be no surprise to any of you that I would agree with all of my colleagues that jobs are most important. In this economy, I think that we've got so many citizens that are hurting. We have so many jobs that have transitioned overseas, and jobs are so important. I'm 65 years old. I've been self-employed since I was 23 years old. I understand about what it's like to take a company from scratch. That quick, Chris?
That's 30 seconds. Oh, you still have time. No, you still.
I have 30 seconds.
30 second warning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll add you in on the.
During my career, and for those of you that don't know, one of the businesses that I'm involved in is the billboard business, which is very heavily regulated. In addition to the billboard business, there are so many other businesses that have such regulations that are imposed upon them by local, city, county, and state government that it makes it very difficult for them to expand. Also, I have been elected by my peers to be the president of my professional trade association.
I'll give you about 5 seconds because I confused you with my hand there. Go ahead and let you finish your sentence.
To be elected to represent them in the legislature. I've also been elected by the largest business group in North Carolina, NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business, represents 16,000 businesses. I served as their president statewide for 3 two-year terms. I understand small business. 80% of all the new jobs are not created by Reynolds or IBM or Chrysler or Ford. They're created by people just like you that sit out there that are in small business. And I think I have the background to help that. Thank you, Chris. Key word that you mentioned was incentives. A synonym for incentives for a lot of people has been corporate welfare. Lincoln said, and we're all Republicans, so we know who Lincoln. He said that you cannot do for men things permanently that they could. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. I never ever voted for an incentive until the Caterpillar deal came up. And because of the economic standards that we're facing now and the need for jobs, I did support that. But I couldn't agree more that the corporate tax rate is what penalizes us. The silver lining on the cloud, though, I believe, is our infrastructure and the community college system, like Forsyth Tech. That really is what helped us get the Caterpillar job. You have community college on both sides of the river that I support.
I think I too am a small business owner and a real estate, and I've owned my own company for close to 40 years now. And we all see the economy in the struggle that it's in right now. And until we go back and try to get the housing industry really corrected, that's going to continue to be a problem for North Carolina. We have, if you ride down most any street, what you're going to see is at least probably three or four homes that are for sale or foreclosed or high grass and dark windows. People have just literally moved out. We've got to work and get that corrected. And as we bring in new jobs and offer folks to housing and good schools and good atmosphere, the job training, that I think that's the thing that's going to work. And it's every job is important, large or small. I
think that when you talk about incentives, I would like to see some type of government participation where there are guarantees, particularly for agriculture, for loans. Would not be a grant, but would be an opportunity for farming and agricultural folks, based on demand and futures and supply, to be able to enter into government-backed loans to help with crop production and agriculture. I think that's something very much needed.
As Representative Brown said, we did do annexation reform, and it was very testy, but it was fair and legal the way that we did it, and the bill that we passed was certainly advantageous it was fair for the cities, it was fair for the property owners. What we were seeing during the hearings, that cities would reach out and literally annex a piece of property, and for 10 years there was no service. It's no sewer, no water, no police. So as Representative Brown said, we all worked hard on that bill, and it did pass, and it is law.
On the other side of that tree line over there is Ardmore. I grew up in Ardmore. In those days, they affectionately called it Mortgage Hill because everybody lived over there on a mortgage. And I can remember that was not in the city limits. But in those days, in order to be part of the city limits, you petitioned the municipality to bring you in. I think that's the right way to do it. I think that people that buy property make a decision, a conscious decision, whether they want to live in a municipality or they want to live in a more rural area. And I think those rights should be respected, and the forced annexation is totally wrong. How much time I got, Chris?
15. 12.
Commissioner Conrad is absolutely correct about this issue is much deeper than just on the surface. There's a cash register, sales tax issue here. And if you don't get the sales tax for the county, you're going to wind up increasing your property tax to offset what you lose.
I think it's well said. Everything that's been said is accurate, and it is a matter of money and financing. And when a city does take property, there's consequences at the county level. So, as I said, the bill is passed. It's a good bill. It's in place, and for the next 10 years, we do not have to fight that battle.
I must give you a disclosure before I answer the question, tell you that I am a concealed carry permit holder, and I fully support the legislation that was enacted to do that. As far as the Forsyth County issue is concerned, that Commissioner Conrad spoke of, I led that fight to establish concealed carry in the Forsyth County parks and also in the parking lots where you would park your vehicle. I personally think there are plenty of bad guys that have guns. And if we're going to subject our mother, our daughter, our brothers, our sisters, our children to be in parks with those people that are breaking the law, my interest and the commissioners that I serve with had the wisdom to realize that we want to even the odds up and put some guns in the hands of good guys who have been trained with the deployment of lethal force to protect our families. I think that the issue with regard to the restaurants is absolutely right. I think it's a matter of time before you will have that passed. And as far as those people that use Tanglewood Park, the RVs, we didn't get this done, and I hope we can get it done. I think the people that are traveling from other states have a right to protect their homestead, which would mean concealed carry, if they're authorized, in their mobile home or their RV.
Somebody said they weren't sure what happened with that bill, and I can sort of tell you what happened. We do have the majority Republican in the House, 68 members, and however, we didn't have the entire Republican delegation on board with with the first draft of this. And if I'm not wrong, there were about 11 drafts before we were able to get everybody on board. I think it's the right thing to do. I supported it. Certainly agree that it's the right thing to be able to protect yourself and your families and your property. It was a pretty unanimous vote with the Republican delegation when the last draft of the bill came out. So yes, I certainly support the right to carry and the right to protect yourself.
I'd like to publicly pay tribute to the good, solid conservatives that I served with that helped me pass this on a local level in Forsyth County. Deborah Conrad did that, Gloria Wesson Hunt and Richard Lemon. And just in passing, along with Bill Whiteheart, obviously. But in passing that subject, I will remind you of in my arguments with my colleagues, what I reminded them of was that when seconds matter, the police are always minutes away. So concealed carry can become a very important of a life-saving device. I hope none of you ever have to experience that, but if you do, I hope you will always have the right to do so wherever you are.